Trata.
Happy AMA. I know it's been a while since we've been on here, so we wanted to come on and give you guys a quick little update. We're going to keep it relatively short. This is just a kind of brief overview on what we've been working on, some progress checks, and obviously some into looks on what we've been working at and where we're at with everything that we've been doing so far over the last month since we spoke. So as always, we put together a little bit of a slide for you guys to kind of follow along with what we're doing, and we'll make it available for you guys as well after the AMA. So without further ado, of course, we got Gabe and MK with us here. Got the rest of the guys may pop in for a minute, but you know, there's only 5 of us, so we're always hard out here grinding away. So we're all of us doing a million different things at the same time. So we're just kind of do what we can when we can. So we're here. So we'll kind of jump right into it and get you guys up to date. So what we're going to talk about a little bit today, we'll give you guys kind of an update on the V2 migration, where we're at, the audits, Saita Pro, centralized exchanges, meaning our current centralized exchanges as far as airdrops and live trading, Saita Realty. Haven't really talked about that in a while, so we want to make sure we give you guys an update on what's going on with that. The current Saita Mass version, our burn, and then we'll do a quick little Q&A after the fact. So we'll hop right into it here. So kind of a recap for you guys that haven't been paying attention or maybe new. We're upgrading our current contract, our V1, to a Saitama V2 version. And why we're doing that, obviously, is for added security to kind of fit the face of the future, what we're trying to build, sustainability in business, all the different parts of our ecosystem and what we're putting together, CEX friendly. Some of the top tier exchanges obviously want to have more of a utility token and away from the meme coin, reducing our circulating supply and whatnot. A hotter burn mechanism. We are still deflationary, so we want to implement a higher burn activity to reduce that circulating supply even more. And again, remove us from that meme category, right? We want to get out of the ENU and, you know, become a true utility token, which we are. So that was kind of the emphasis and the reason for us migrating from a V1 version to a V2. So, well, again, a recap of what most of you guys already know. But for those, again, that are new to Saitama and were curious about that, that's why. So this is just kind of the migration steps that we put together, and we went over this the last time. So we'll just kind of briefly touch on it. And again, this is more of a recap for some, but for others, it may be new. So, you know, create the V2 contract all the way through to, you know, the strengthening information campaign, removing the LP from V1, which we have done. And this stuff all occurred back on June 7th. And most of the timeline, you know, we're really at the end of our timeline right now anyways. So again, this is just more or less a recap of the steps and the progression of the V2 migration that we've had to go through. And most of these things occurred within the first couple of days starting on June 6th. So now as we are here on June 24th, you know, we're at the end of this timeline. And this has taken a little bit longer than we would have hoped. You know, there's certain things that kind of played part into that. Gas fees being one. You can't really predict gas fees. So we've kind of been at the mercy of that and having to do airdrops when, you know, when the GUI is low. So, you know, if we're looking at $50 to $60 gas fees and we're doing massive token drops, 400 wallets at a time, it can be extremely expensive. And because we are paying for the airdrops out of pocket, it costs a lot, right? And we're looking at as many holders as we had. It can be extremely expensive. So, you know, we have to kind of play at the mercy of gas fees. So, you know, late at night, early in the morning, when they're lower is usually when we've been doing, you know, our airdrops, as you guys have probably seen. So that's kind of where we're at. And I'll let you know where we are now, what we've been doing. And for those of you all that have been kind of following along with the airdrops and sequence, wallets that have 30 billion V1 tokens or more have been already airdropped. So if you had 30 billion V1 tokens or more, you should have already received your tokens in your wallet. If you haven't, it's probably a simple fix. You probably just need to import the new contract address into your MetaMask or Trust Wallet or Coinbase wallet, and they'll show up. So, and again, this is based on gas fees. We do as many as we can, as much as we can, dictating upon what gas fees are. If you have not received your V2 tokens and you have them on a decentralized platform or a wallet such as Coinbase Wallet or Trust Wallet or MetaMask, and you already inserted the new V2 contract address and they don't automatically populate, utilize this form that we have, and we'll share this with you guys, and send us a request, right? Let us know that you have not received your tokens, that you currently hold more than 30 billion V1 tokens and have not gotten them. And we'll take a look at your contract address or your receipt code, and we'll go on the blockchain and take a look. We're going to timestamp them from today because we have about 3,500 forms already submitted. We put this link out before we started the migration, and we were receiving requests from this form before we even stopped trading on V1. We were receiving forms and requests stating that people hadn't received their V2 tokens yet before we started. So we have like 3,500, and of course we'll still go through them, but we want to prioritize it. So if you have more than 30 billion V1 tokens and you have not gotten them, please utilize this form and let us know so we can take a look. But please make sure you insert the new contract address first, because that'll probably save us a lot of time and correspondence back and forth, letting you know that all you really need to do is import that address, and the tokens will migrate and they will populate within your wallet. So we're going to timestamp it today, and we'll go through those other 3,500, but I would imagine 3,400 of them are null and void at this point because they probably already received their tokens. So, but please utilize this form. It's the only way that we can go through that many holders and that many requests, and we want to make sure that we're getting everybody their tokens. So utilize this form, please. So we have some updates on the audit for you guys. The CertiK audit for V2 smart contract has been completed, as well as the CertiK audit for the Saita Pro. So I know that you guys have kind of seen the audit floating around through CertiK and the percentage and the completion rate. We actually have both of them done. So the V2 contract has been completed, as well as the CertiK audit for the Saita Pro app. They've both been completed. Both of them had very few minor requests to be changed. We've put in and corrected the issues that they've been found and resolved, and we're just waiting now for the CertiK team to process and put out the results for everybody. But we were pretty impressed with the results that came back. Like I said, a few minor issues that we corrected, and we're putting them out there. So we're pretty impressed so far with the progress that's been made and the outcome of the CertiK audit. So nothing major. We didn't anticipate anything major, but of course that's why you do an audit, just to double check. And the findings were true. So excited to announce that both of those audits have been completed and resolved for any minor issues. And now for the staking mechanism, we do need to get an additional audit specifically for our staking mechanism, which we're going to start, I believe, next week. So that'll be an additional audit to the contract address as well as the Saita Pro app, because it's a different mechanism entirely that lives inside our ecosystem. It requires an additional audit. And the same with the other platforms and parts of our ecosystem, right? If we have the FANG platform, with the gaming structure, anywhere that there's, money transferred, regardless, like Ethereum, things like that on the blockchain, the contract needs to be audited. But the main two is the Saitama V2 and the Saita Pro. So those two are done, and then now we'll move on to the staking one next week. So the Saita Pro, it's presently in beta. As you guys have probably seen circulating around socials, people sharing their experience and some screen shares and whatnot of the beta stage. We're working on the Pro app itself as well as the desktop. They are in beta. They are in testnet. So do not connect your wallet to it. If you see a link for the Pro app or anything of that sort requesting you to import your wallet or put your seed phrase into it, please do not do that. It is in beta, it is in testnet, and we would never ask you to do that. So when you're in beta, you do not connect any hard or cold hot wallet to anywhere where that information would be stored because it's in beta. It's strictly for a QA, allowing people to give us some feedback, look at the integration, look at some of the functionalities, and then to offer their feedback on it so we can take that constructive criticism back to the tech team, say, hey, this would it would be helpful to have this icon over here, or it would be helpful to remove this functionality or add this to it, right? That's kind of why you beta, because it allows multiple sets of eyes, and you guys are ultimately the end user, and we want to get end user feedback, right? And it also helps us establish what the bugs are, what needs to be, fixed and coordinated and placed better, right? That's kind of the idea. So it is in beta now. We're coming towards the end of our beta stage. There's been a ton of people providing some great feedback for us, but that's where we are now. So we have the audit complete, and beta is just about completed as well. Now, as far as the centralized exchanges, as far as the updates for our V2 migration, most of the centralized exchanges have received tokens and are all set, meaning they've already gone live with their trading. Some of them continue trading after they agreed upon taking the snapshot time. So we're working with those exchanges and mitigating the discrepancies. XT is an example. What that means is we have to coordinate with all these centralized exchanges for them to stop deposits and stop trading at midnight Central Time when we stopped trading and took a snapshot on Uniswap on the blockchain. So if any of these centralized exchanges continued to allow deposits after that time, essentially people will be getting or will attempt to get double airdrops. So if we took a snapshot on Etherscan and you had 1 trillion Saitama V1 tokens, you're going to get airdropped 1 million V2 tokens per Etherscan. Now, after we took that snapshot and you deposited it onto a centralized exchange, you would attempt to get 1 million V2 airdrop tokens through Etherscan and then 1 million V2 tokens dropped on your centralized exchange. That's why it's crucial for us to coordinate and communicate with these exchanges to make sure that everybody gets one single airdrop. Because as you know, every token needs to be accounted for. We're a decentralized token, so we can't just mint more, right? We can't just magically make more V2 tokens to airdrop to centralized exchanges. So we have to then therefore go back, find any discrepancies, and make sure that every exchange is getting the exact amount of tokens that they require for their holders. So most of those have been done. There's a few that are still lingering that have received airdrop tokens for what we had recorded as far as what they're supposed to get. But on their end, it's showing that they didn't receive enough per the holders that they had. And a lot of that is just having to go back through and see when they stopped the deposits and withdrawals, when they stopped trading, and essentially doing an internal audit to make sure that nobody's getting double tokens, because that hurts us because we have to now find more tokens to give to them. But it hurts the community and the holders as well, because if somebody gets double drop tokens, they're going to sell the other ones that they got for free, right? And then that means that it's going to affect the price. There's going to be arbitrage. It creates a whole laundry list full of issues. So we have to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and communicating with these exchanges to make sure that it is the proper amount that they're getting, and we can move forward. And once that's all established, then they can open up trading, and all is right with the world. So I believe there's only a few left. XT is one of them. I think Bitmart is all squared away now. They should be getting and opening up their trades, I believe, next week. And I think that's really about it. There may be a few other small ones here and there, but for the most part, it's all been handled. And as we move forward, we should be getting the other ones rectified here in the next day or so. So that's kind of an update with that. But yes, it is a pain in the butt, and it does create some errors, and it does create some delays. But we just have to make sure that we're making sure that we're doing our own due diligence and making sure they're getting their proper tokens so you guys can get them, in your wallet if you hold them on there. So better to take the time and do it right than to create arbitrage and to create unnecessary dumps. So, okay, so that's all we have with that. So SaitaRealty, so you can utilize your seed phrase to access your tokens in any other wallet. So I don't, SaitaMask, we kind of shut down, and we'll get into that in a second. But specifically with SaitaRealty, you can import, like if you created a wallet on SaitaMask and then want to get access to your SaitaRealty tokens, just use that same seed phrase and import your wallet to like MetaMask or Trust Wallet. They will populate on there, and then you can trade on LBank, right? So on SaitaMask, we have a SaitaRealty pair, but it's with the V1 Saitama token. And the V1 token obviously doesn't have any liquidity. It holds no value. So we have to create a new pair with that, and which we'll do, but we're going to do it on the SaitaPro app. And this is in regard to all the pairs that we have on the current SaitaMask app. We're going to create all new pairing opportunities and implement trades on the Pro app. We're currently in the process right now integrating all the pairs, creating all the contracts and everything on the Pro itself. So they're integrated into our swap mechanism, not just the SaitaRealty, but all of the pairs that are on there. So we're in the migration phase of that with the Pro, and the Pro is coming along very soon. So we'll be able to have those available. But in the meantime, if you do want to trade your SaitaRealty, you can do so on LBank, because it's a USDT pair and not a SaitaRealty Saitama pair. So import your seed phrase. You can send your tokens to LBank and trade there if you choose, or they can just stay there until we integrate the Pro app, which is coming very soon, and then you guys can obviously trade at will, on the Pro app when it launches. So and we have some more plans for the SaitaRealty as well. We just have to make sure that we're doing things, in proper sequence. Current priority level being the V2 migration, the launch of the Pro app, now that the audit is complete. So we're progressing, moving along just the way that we want and how things should. So those are obviously the two high priority items, is the migration and the Pro app release, because everything else is kind of rolled around and dictated upon that. And once the Pro app comes out, then we'll be able to have all these pairs on there. We can integrate all the different functions that we have. And everything else that we have with that is really tied to the Pro app, and it's the foundation and functionality of our entire utility and ecosystem, and everything is going to be on there and ready to roll. So that has to be a priority, that it comes out and launches smooth, and then everything else will kind of follow in step. So SaitaMask, so trading is obviously not live right now, because all the trading pairs that are integrated into the current SaitaMask app are with the Saitama V1 token. So the V1 doesn't hold any value, but it still does on SaitaMask. So we have to stop trading on there until we can, again, create an entirely new pairing opportunity on the Pro app. So we don't want to have any of the arbitrage and any of that stuff. And there was a little bit in the beginning. So of course we needed to shut it down, and we're migrating all the liquidity over to the Pro app with the new V2 pairs. So, and we're also going to be creating new pairs aside from the Saitama pair, and we're doing a lot of different things with that, but it'll be specifically on the Pro app itself. So the burn factor, I know I've had a lot of questions about the burn. The additional tokens will be burnt after all the exchanges and all the holders receive all their V2 tokens. So we have to make sure that we go through all the forms that we talked about before, making sure that everybody got all their tokens. It's very possible that maybe a few people got missed. It's a lot of tokens that are to be airdropped and sent out. It's a lot of wallets. So if there is a couple that got missed, that's why we're having this forum. And we don't want to do the burn until we make sure that every single person has every single last token that they have in their wallet. We want to make sure that everybody gets it. Once we do that and everything is solid, all the forms are gone through, everybody's happy and kosher, then we will do the remaining burn. So that's where we're at with that. But I wanted to make sure that we touched on that at least a little bit. So we'll go through and we'll kind of ask some questions. We do have, like I said, a lot of other things that were kind of pending, and I want to kind of emphasize to you guys that we have a lot of things that we're going to deliver and put out and we'll launch on the app. Some things you guys know about, some things that you don't. And the idea, right, is just to allow you guys to kind of see for yourselves. We're not putting a date on it. We're not saying Saita Pro is going to be launched in 13 days. We're just going to release it as things progress. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. We just want to make sure that we're keeping you guys in the loop as far as updates on these things, especially with the V2 migration. I understand that there's people that have not gotten their V2 tokens yet, but you will. Like I said, if you have less than 30 billion V1 tokens, you have not gotten yours yet, but you absolutely will. They are coming, I promise you. So have no fear. They are on the way. But yeah, so we wanted to at least have a quick update on some of the things that we've been working on, but also being that our priority is the Saita Pro app and the V2 migration and everything else that's revolving around our ecosystem, Saita Realty and the staking and the gaming, and many more are all being kind of constructed and created, generated, and prepped and tested as we speak to go live on the Pro app when it becomes available. So I've seen a lot of people currently beta testing our desktop and Pro app, and I've seen a lot of really good feedback. Gabe, have you got some good feedback? I know you've kind of been working with the content team and the functionality with the UI, UIX team. It was pretty good so far on your end, you think? From what I've seen of it.
Yeah, it's looking good. I'm proud of the work that we're doing with the team in India. And there's a lot more to come, of course. Like there's some features still in development and test internally, like the swap. For example, for the people who test the app, the mobile app, you can see like the swap screen, but it's just like a mock-up. We have a working version testing the bounds, stuff like that. That it's been keeping us busy. And someone asked if I'm drunk because I probably look tired or smiling much. But it's just that I've been like working so much, like all of us on this, and I feel tired, of course, but at the same time, getting this energy from the community, like all the support that we got from people and people testing the app and giving us feedback. Everyone like so far are giving like very constructive feedback. They know that this is an app that is a work in progress, that there's a roadmap ahead, and they like what they see so far. So it makes me happy, and it makes me want to push it, like to the top, to be like we say a top player, and deliver it to the community, to give it back to the holder that's been with us for a year now. And also like because people keep asking, and I posted a few updates already about Wolfcaster and Fang. The projects are standby. Of course, we haven't stopped developing them, but we needed to focus on V2 and Saita Pro, and because we're restructuring our ecosystem, like starting from Saita Pro, so this is where we need to be focused now. And of course, like time and resources are limited, so we had to make choices, and hopefully I can get back to working on our games real soon. But they would never stop. They're like my baby projects. Everyone who's been following me on Twitter knows that, and they look amazing. I promise that.
Good. Yeah, it's exciting. Like I know that we've kind of shifted focus a little bit because we had to put all this stuff together with the V2 migration and the Pro app, and the team in India putting all this stuff together for us and working hand in hand with them on the UI and UIX, and Gabe and his team putting all the long hours and effort into it. But it's all gonna pay off in the end, and it's really. I mean, it's really coming together, and I know it's kind of hard for you guys to see from the outside looking in sometimes, like in the progression and how things are going along, and you may feel left in the dark a little bit, but internally it's a smooth running machine that we're always constantly at the helm of and putting things together, and we're proud of what we're created, and you guys should be proud too. Even if you don't have direct involvement with the development, being a part of the community and being advocates for what we're trying to do is just as important. So there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things that are going on at the same time. It wouldn't be Saitama if we didn't have a million things going on at the same time. So that's kind of where we're at. But everything right now is really, at the finish line of progression and development. And we're definitely we're there. So as you guys can see with the beta test, and now we're running to that, and the audit being completed, we're there. We're literally right there. It's very, very close. And then once we can get past this V2 migration that we seem to be taking forever on, and that has been running forever, that's kind of the first step in where we're at. So it all has to happen, sequentially, right? Like everything has to happen in specific order in order for them to be smooth and to have a smooth transition, and not just the V1 to V2, but also making a major transition from app to app, from the SaitaMask application to the Pro app. That's a huge transition for us, and it's a very big step and a technology standpoint to what we want to do in creating out our ecosystem. So, we can. We'll take some questions. I know I don't want to try to drag it on too long because we have so much other stuff that we're working on. So we'll take some time and answer at least a few questions. And if we don't get to your questions, I apologize. Maybe some of them, we have some amazing mods that can maybe take note of some of the questions that we weren't able to get to, and then maybe we can put together a QA, or I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I want to try and get to as many as we can. What updates do you have on the process for being listed on Tier 1 and centralized exchanges? Also, do you plan to onboard a project manager or additional PMs? So with the Tier 1 exchanges, we can list, some of them have been asking to list already, but again, we have to do things sequentially. Our priority right now is finalizing the airdrops and then releasing our Pro app, right? We don't want to list on a Tier 1 exchange while everybody hasn't gotten their tokens yet, right? Because what do you guys think is going to happen? We're going to have a tremendous amount of volume. We're going to have a tremendous price impact. We want everybody to have their tokens first. So we have to make sure that that's still a priority, even though we probably could have listed on some, after the migration, but we're not done yet. We have to make sure we're doing that first. So they're there. The exchanges are there. And as we progress and as we finish the migration, get the Pro app out, it's there. It's on the table, right? It's not something that's forgotten. But again, we just have to make sure that we're doing things chronologically. Saita Pro is released. Will staking be implemented immediate, or will be a time lapse for staking to produce? MK, you want to answer that? Is it going to be right away? Or I know we're going to start the audit. Is it going to be right away with the Pro app, or is it going to be sometime afterwards?
Yeah, definitely. It's getting on audit. So actually, Saita Pro is almost ready. It's just I want to bring it with the staking so we can launch it all together.
Okay.
And
so
yeah,
the
a few things I was
available.
looking at. Staking will be, and few questions I was looking at. Why we are not starting a SaitaMask. SaitaMask, we just open it for people to take out the wallets from there to, in case if somebody didn't do the seed phase, they can take it out and they can do it, as you said, on the Trust Wallet and all. It will take a lot of time to change from V1 to V2. And Saita Pro is almost at one of the corners. As we said, we don't want to give the date. We'll just tell you guys to download. That's what we decided this time. There won't be time. There won't be a date. There will be just an announcement. You guys can download now. So give it some time to sort out that thing. And one more question I had it, and Russell, you already mentioned about the XT, because I'm getting a lot of messages on the XT exchange. XT, we have all the things, every details for them. We communicated. We communicated on 31st. We communicated on 6th. Everything we had done it. But now they never stopped it. Even they have acknowledged the messages from Nam and Russell. Now, if they haven't stopped the trade, the airdrop, we send the airdrop. After the airdrop, they said we are starting the process, and I announced as well. And later on, they said, no, there's more claim what finance is asking, sir. But as we said, none of the wolf pack will ever lose money. We give you guys a word, but please bear with us to sort out these issues.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes time, and like I mentioned a little bit, it's just it's really about the communication and the validation, right? Like we have to validate. Like we go off of the blockchain, and when we took the snapshot, every single V1 token for Saitama is accounted for on the blockchain, like regardless of where it's at. If it's in a centralized exchange, it still shows up through that hot wallet. So we send all those tokens out and we have to validate it and make sure that we're not, double dropping tokens to exchanges. So that's kind of where we're at with a couple of them again. And that's all not just for us, but for the holder's sake as well, right? We can't just continue to airdrop tokens out to exchanges because they have to come from somewhere. So we can't get to the end of the line like, oh, we're short 5 million, V2 tokens because we double dropped a centralized exchange, too many tokens, right? Like that's not how we conduct business. So that's just what we have to do. Now, again, a few people saying they haven't gotten their tokens yet and they have over 30 billion. Utilize that form. We're time stamping all forms submitted from today's date because, again, we had 3,500 submissions. And we were receiving submissions before we even stopped trading. People were asking for their V1 or V2 tokens before we even started the airdrop. So it's a ton to go through. So we're time stamping the ones today. If you have over 30 billion, if you have less than 30 billion V1 tokens, we have not sent those out yet. You are going to get them. We just haven't gotten to that stage on the snapshot for the Etherscan report. So they're coming. Now, yeah, and for the SaitaMask, like I said, if you don't have, or MK touched on it, if you don't have your seed phrase, like when you created an account on SaitaMask and you didn't write down your seed phrase and you need to get back into SaitaMask in order to get that, we're opening it up. Some have access now, some do not. I don't know if it's iPhone or Android, there's an issue with people being able to get on there, whatever device they're on. So we're working on that so everybody can at least get on there and get their seed phrase. But if you want to get access to your tokens and you have your seed phrase, just, import them into a different wallet, MetaMask, Trust Wallet, all those. And then, of course, when we launch the Pro app, you'll have the ability to import your wallet there as well. And then all your tokens will populate, they will show up. You're not going to have to pay any sort of fee. There's no, nothing will happen. You're essentially just opening up a doorway to access your wallet on a different decentralized platform. That's really it. Just like if you have a Coinbase wallet right now, you can import your Coinbase wallet seed phrase to Trust Wallet, and all your tokens will populate. And you're essentially, and I've used this analogy in the past, you're just opening a gateway or a portal to access your token, right? A decentralized platform that's all it is, right? Trust Wallet, MetaMask, Coinbase Wallet, Saita Pro, these are decentralized platforms that allow you to open a door to interact with the blockchain, right? And your tokens are there. They don't move from one to the other, right? They don't move from Coinbase to Saita Pro. You're just accessing them through a different doorway, right? And then the platform itself allows you to interact with that platform specifically in a very specific way. But everything still lives on the blockchain, right? And then for those, I know it can be kind of confusing, especially if you're fairly new to blockchain development, cryptocurrency. But that's how that works. And that's kind of the beauty of it, right? So that's blockchain technology in a nutshell for you. It all is code and it lives on the blockchain. You're just allowing yourself to access it with your seed phrase through different windows and different portals. So hopefully that kind of helps. Staking percentages remain the same. Looking forward to creating education fund for my daughter. Perfect. Did we establish the APIs, the APYs for the staking percentages, or we have not locked down numbers on that yet, MK?
Yeah, we have done it. We'll announce it once audit is done.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So we're waiting for the audit, and again, once we start next week, in the audit and it's completed, we'll have a better overview and a better look at what the staking platform will look like as far as the percentages, the length of time. Now, again, we want to make it as lucrative as possible for you guys because it benefits not only the SaitaPro app, but also the holder. Like the more we incentivize for you to stake, it adds, functionality, it adds stability into the Pro app because you're injecting it as liquidity. So it essentially stabilizes the coin, right? It stabilizes the trading pairs. It stabilizes a lot of things. So the more lucrative we can put it to incentivize holders to want to stake their tokens, the better off we all are, right? So.
Great. And one thing I'll clear right now, and for everybody, which is not we discuss on the SaitaPro, we are doing the pairing with BNB, and a few guys approached me to launch the coin on the BNB as BNB and it pre-launch, like a pre-sale and all ICO. We are putting that system soon, so they can bring their own coin to have exclusive on SaitaPro. So if anybody anywhere want to do it, yeah, we are coming up with that setup. So we'll have a BNB launch pad. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll multi-chain, right? So SaitaPro app has a multi-chain functionality with BNB pairs, on those things. So for the MK saying, when we start to create pairing opportunities within the swap mechanism, we can now do it with BNB pairs. As you guys know, Lucky Roo, when that comes out on SaitaPro, we'll have both the Ethereum and the BNB pair on it as well. So we'll have that capability, with multiple other projects too. So my pool tokens from SaitaMask show up in SaitaPro. I get all the liquidity and everything that's on SaitaMask and everything that's on the blockchain is being migrated over to the Pro app with new contracts and pairs created, right? So the SaitaMask itself is a decentralized platform. And I kind of want to emphasize to you guys the difference on what a decentralized platform is and a centralized platform is. Decentralized lives on the blockchain. It coordinates everything through, because it's an ERC20 platform, it shows up through the report on Etherscan. You can view it. It lives on there. When anything is done on SaitaMask, you see it on Etherscan. It shows up there, right? If you have tokens on the blockchain and they are viewable and accessible through SaitaMask, they live on the blockchain still. So when we migrate everything and we migrate the liquidity, when we migrate the pairs, when we create the new V2 pairs in the Pro app, everything kind of comes with it in tandem, right? All you're doing is just essentially taking that portal and closing that door, and you're opening a door on another app. But because it's another app, and it has an entirely new coding and a back-end code structure to it, it has to be re-audited. It needs to be just as safe as the original application was. So we have to take those steps first, hence why we needed to do the Certic audit that we've done and is completed. Now we can start migrating everything. And now that beta is coming to an end, we are able to do that. Right now that we have a green light from Certic to start migrating funds and liquidity and all that stuff, that's how we're going to do that. So in short, everything that's on SaitaMask, current version, will be migrated to the Pro app without missing a beat, right? You're just essentially opening another portal and migrating everything from the blockchain onto an additional decentralized exchange, right? Centralized exchanges have their own liquidity. It doesn't live on the blockchain. It's whatever that is, right? They have their own tracking mechanisms. They interact and exchange outside of the blockchain. Like we don't even have an opportunity. And this goes back to the V2 migration, right? We can't go inside Bitmart or any of these other exchanges and see, how many tokens they trade. I mean, we can run a data analytics and see what their volume is. We can do different things on run reports, but we don't have access to it, right? We can't. It's not on Etherscan, how much they transact, all those things. It's a centralized exchange, meaning that everything that they do happens internally in a centralized fashion. Therefore, it lives off the blockchain. So when we're trying to coordinate token airdrops, we can only go off the information that we have. And that's really where the difficulty therein lies, right? Is because we can't validate things, and we don't just take people's word for it, right? Like we have to validate it. We have to do our due diligence. So.
Yeah, and one more thing I need to add on it. Actually, on the second stage, we are going for the audit for Saitama, which is Saita Pro. So we'll go as a whole system audit, because Saita Pro is not only we are doing decentralized exchange, there's a lot more the projects we are bringing in the utility in Saitama. So soon you guys will see and realize Saitama won't be any like a only exchange or anything. It will be a true business. And give it as some time, as we said, let the see a lot of changes and a lot of things which are waiting to bring it on. So you guys will have the news on our social media. So keep an eye on that.
Will Saita Pro use Saitama to swap or USDT? You guys tried to list Saitama on all exchanges before tier 1. You guys trading shouldn't have opened the V2 drop. So we're actually going to have multiple pairs on the Pro app. Obviously, Saitama being an ERC20 token, we'll have the Saitama Ethereum pair. We're going to have some other pairings available on there as well. When we integrate different pairing options and tokens listed on Saita Pro, we'll have multiple pair options available as well. We don't want to just have the Saitama pair. We want to have, and in some cases, we want
we are starting. Actually, on this one, we are starting with the USDT. We are starting with Ethereum and BNB. We start with that, generate the LP. Then we'll go with the Saitama pair. Yeah. So the start will be the 3 pairing.
So USDT, Ethereum, BNB. Those will be the initial 3 pairs. Yeah. So when we had the SaitaMask functionality, right, and we had Saitama pair with everything, so the burn mechanism was great, but as the market cap for Saitama is fairly low, it creates too much volatility until it stabilizes, right? So in a sense, if we have a Saitama pair, right? So if we pair Saitama with any other ERC20 token, if the Saitama price dips, essentially that other pair dips with it, because that's how a pairing mechanism works, because the price of Saitama is not, it's not stable enough because the market cap is too low. So we want to be able to create stable coin pairing options within Saita Pro to have a more sustainable and more stable trading option. Now, we will add some on there in the future, but that's why I'm saying having the USDT, Ethereum, and BNB pair out of the gate, because those are all stable options, right? And I know Ethereum hasn't exactly been stable, but in reality, it should be more of a stable coin option, right? So, and we have to have that pair because it's an ERC20 token. But yeah, so we want to have multiple pairs, and having the Saitama pair on there will be an option, but having multiple stable pairs is more, it's more functional for the time being anyways. And there was a couple other questions that were kind of attached to that. I know, and we've gotten a little bit of feedback and on the opening up the pairing and making it live prior to the V2 migration being completed. But we had several exchanges that wanted to go live and open up the V2 pair, right? And if it's not live on Uniswap and you're allowing a V2 trade through centralized exchanges, it kind of opens the door for a lot of arbitrage. And that's something that we didn't want to do, right? And I understand some people that maybe haven't gotten their tokens yet that want to trade or want to do something with their V1 tokens. I understand it. It's almost impossible to please everybody. I mean, the good news is you can still, and when we went live, we didn't make it specific for only people that had received airdrops. Like anybody could buy and sell V2. It's just that if you hadn't gotten your V1 airdrop yet, you couldn't obviously sell those, but you could still buy V2 if you wanted to, right? So And even now, like there's still people that haven't gotten theirs, people that have less than that 30 billion mark. But other centralized exchanges have already opened up that V2 pair and they wanted to do it right away. So, it's kind of one of those things that you just kind of have to weigh the positives with the negatives and understand that it's literally impossible to appease everybody. You just have to kind of do risk assessment and figure out what the best option is. And essentially how we were going to minimize the arbitrage. We didn't want it to affect the pairing, and we didn't want it to affect the market cap and create, a whole can of worms that would have been a mess, right? And even then now, as gas fees have been high, there still hasn't people that have received their V2 tokens yet. So in that way, or in that regard, trading would still be suspended from June 7th until now June 24th, which isn't really optimal either. So again, and it's nothing, negative towards any individual community. It's just you have to, when you have that many people and that many holders, it's really difficult to keep everybody happy. You just have to kind of look at things from a 10,000 foot view and just try to do, optimize things and make tough decisions sometimes. And, and I know that sometimes it can be difficult from the outside looking in or from the sidelines. And well, this is obviously a clear and cut better decision. You guys should have done this, but I understand you that, I don't think people sometimes realize the size of the hat that we got to wear and the size of the shoes we fill sometimes, and the criticism and the critique and all that stuff. But hey, we take it, right? We got big shoulders, right? We take it, take the criticism. But it's tough to keep everybody happy, man. So anyhow. So moving on, that's we wanted to, again, I know that we kind of been dragging on a little bit. We wanted to just give you guys some updates. We'll have some more updates for you guys soon. We'll be putting some publications out for you guys regarding the Certic audit results. We'll give you guys, we're not going to be putting out timelines for certain things regarding the Saita Pro app launch. You guys will just have it. It'll be available. And once you hear from us with a proper link, I say from us, from our main channels, saying here's the link for the Saita Pro app. You can download it and it's functional. Assume that everything else is not ours. And if you receive a beta test link, and it tells you to import your seed phrase, please do not do that. It's beta, it's on testnet, and you should not be connecting anything to it. If you want to mess around with it and look at it and see the functionality, absolutely, but do not connect your wallet. It's on the testnet and it's a beta version. So anyhow, I think that was it. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add?
Seeing a lot of people asking about the Indian exchange, the one we are partnership with. We haven't bought it. A lot of people are writing we bought it. It's a sharing. It's a part of some share we bought it to be covering the Indian market. Yeah, it's already on. And yeah, Onyx. It's again, someone was writing. Yeah, it's on the way of having your branding and everything done. And again, the whole system has been getting changed like the way we are doing it. So it will be done within a few days or week. So once it's done, everything is ready, we'll announce with them. And maybe I'll travel to India, or our whole team will travel to India to have everything together as an announcement. But right now, why we are not talking about that, the main focus is to get the airdrop done and Saita Pro to be done. So once everything is done, all things are there. It's nothing is pending. It's just a matter of putting few things on priority and getting the roots strong. So once our roots are strong, whatever we are putting on top, it will be getting bigger and bigger. So that's why we are thinking about how to get ourselves to grow more as a more utility token, not like any token which are undocs or anything. No, we are all docs. We are here. We are answering each and every person. But the question is, when the things are done, once this V2 is finished and on site Saita Pro is launched, you'll see a lot of things are on the table.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I talked about a little bit in the beginning. Like, this is our focus, the V2 migration and the Pro app release. Everything else that we have is still being pushed along and still being created and still being push towards the finish line. But that's the primary focus. Like Gabe said, have the Wolfcasters and the games that he's working on, but this has to have a lot of our attention right now because it is the priority. But everything else is still there. As MK mentioned, doing the rebranding for the centralized exchange, that stuff's there. Like it hasn't gone anywhere, and we're still pushing those things forward. But these two items have to have our utmost attention because they are the foundation of where everything else is built from. Our V2, making sure everything is aligned with that, and our Pro app. Because what's the point of having a fully functional and ready to roll out platform like the Wolfcaster Studios if the Pro app isn't out? Right? Like we have to do things chronologically. That's where we're at, and that's been the sole intention. So plans in place for the future of V2. If Saita Pro doesn't work as intended, let's plan the rare event Saita Pro apps. You essentially mitigate that risk by taking the proper steps ahead of time, so you don't allow the opportunity for failure. Right? We've kind of been down this road. Like we've learned our lessons along the way. I think, don't you think? I mean, as a part of the development team, we've learned as we've grown. We've made some mistakes in the last 12 months. And our current the SaitaMask app had some issues, but I think if moving forward from here with the Pro app, we've learned those lessons already. So we've taken the necessary steps ahead of time to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself. So that's the mitigation. That's how we plan for that, is to make sure that that's not an option. Failure is not an option. It's just not going to happen. So, but I appreciate it. But yeah, no, we learn from it. And we're put the right things in place to make sure that history doesn't repeat. So
100%.
That's right. Positivity. So Gabe, did you have anything else you wanted to add to this before we sign off?
No, just wanted to thank everyone again for the support and for remaining active, bringing feedback and supporting our growth. And after 1 year, like it feels like everything happened so fast, but at the same time, it was like a lifetime. It's crazy. And now we've been working in different time zones. We've been working in India a lot, like for the past 3-4 months. And MK is in a different time zone, Russ, different time zone, Aaron, everyone. So we kind of we found a way. We got better at working together as a team. I'm sorry that I'm alone with the kids. You must have seen that there's some hustle going at the same time. The kids they pick fights and they run around. They bring things. So sorry for for interrupting the AMA with that, but just wanted to say thank you anyways, and I'm feeling confident and positive. I love this team, I love this community, and we're gonna get to the top. Count on us.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, we do. You guys have we have a ton of support. Right? A lot of people in the community have been extremely supportive, and we do appreciate everybody. Of course, some naysayers out there, but we don't let it affect us. Right? We get a lot of negative criticism, and especially as we've kind of rolled through these last several months in an absolutely terrible market. I encourage anybody to try to be a developer in a bear market and tell me it's an easy task. I don't care what kind of product you're launching. If you're opening a token or a project in the midst of a bear market, or you were a successful token and you just ran through 8 months of mud, it takes a toll on you, right? You're going to get some negative criticism. I mean, Ethereum went down 80%, and we're an Ethereum-based token. You're gonna have some pushback, and you're gonna roll with the market. $3 billion was removed from the entire market cap of crypto over the last month. I mean, it's crazy. But crypto is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. I know a lot of people are new to investing in cryptocurrency, and that's okay because you're still early. But understand that bear markets and bull markets, and they trend, and history repeats itself. You know, Ethereum went down from what, 1,000 down to like $80, you know, a few years ago. It happens, man. You just weather the storm, but we keep building. And that's what you do in bear market conditions, right? You don't stop and be like, well, I think I'm just going to wait for better market conditions to build our platform. You keep working and you just keep pushing. So, I don't know, but lots of support out there. So we appreciate you guys, and it's been a ride, but we're there, and we got a lot of stuff accomplished, and we're still contributing and, you know, and completing and constructing. And, you know, we definitely learned along the way as we went, and we've learned what works, and we've learned what doesn't. And, you know, and that's part of growth, right? And that's part of any business. I don't care if it's crypto or if you run a grocery store, right? Like you see what works and what doesn't, you know, what's prosperous and what is, you know, negatively impacts your company, and you structure and you restructure and you build. So that's where we're at. But anyhow, we appreciate you guys coming out, and hopefully this answered some of your questions. And real quickly, just to reiterate for people that are coming on, if you have not received your airdrop and you have more than 30 billion V1 tokens, please utilize the form. We will timestamp them from today, and we will take a look at each and every one of them. And if you have not received them and you hold more than 30 billion, we will make sure that you get them. Okay. And also, before you do that, please import the V2 contract into your respective wallet. And then if they don't show up, then send us a nice little letter, right? Put your stuff on there, we'll take a look at it, and then we'll go from there. But appreciate the input, the input and the support from the team and everybody else in the community, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks, guys.
I appreciate everybody. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
See you.